Everybody ready? Jeremy, you good? Okay, Georgia Tech interim head coach Brent Key. Coach, if you could start us with some remarks so we take questions.
Yeah, start off credit to Kirby and his staff and their players. Good football team, well coached. Did a good job down the stretch, especially in the second half. We made some mistakes in the second half and couldn't sustain some drives. Ended up flipping the game. Thought early on we were able to keep the field position and the kind of tempo in our favor with the game. The time of possession as well. That was all part of the plan in the game, was to be able to shrink the game and play time of possession ball. We were able to do that in the first half. Then really as the second half came along, we had a couple of mistakes on some drives, the drops or some special teams mistake that we can't have in big games like that. Especially when you're it's going to be a field position game and they have an explosive offense. And we knew possessions were going to be very critical for us, and we knew that being able to get the defense off the field at times was going to be very critical. Early on, I thought offensively, I thought we moved the ball. Found some nice spots in their coverages to be able to throw it. Early on, ran it. They kind of shrunk it down a little bit and took away some of the running lanes. It kind of got into the second and the third quarter, and weren't able to get those efficient first down gains that had taken place early on. And that's what the whole game's about. It's about, especially in a game like this, you got to be efficient on first down so you get to those third manageables. We had the big fourth down conversion in the fourth quarter that was able to put us in scoring position. And then defensively, I thought they did an outstanding job. As the game was early on in the game, as far as taking away working to take away the explosives, take away the explosive pass from them. And then as the game went on, we started to wear down a little bit, and had some gap issues on a couple of plays, and got caught in some blitz coverage down the sideline on one. But I thought that did a really good job preparing those guys for the football game. Again, credit to Georgia and their football team. But I didn't see any quit in those guys out there. I thought our guys played their tails off until the clock hit zero. And that's something to build off of. It is now going into the off season now. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Okay, questions? It's only everybody goes through microphones. Jeff,
Brent, did they do anything differently in the second half defensively because you guys moved the ball really well in the first half?
Yeah, no, I mean they a couple more single dog pressures to really single people up front. Constricted. They had noticed some issues kind of on the edge of the defense where that we were able to take advantage of early on, and then they really shored that up in the second half. So again, credit to them for making the adjustments. And, just got to continue to work to be consistent in those areas throughout all four quarters of the game.
Kelly.
You're not a moral victories guy, but you're playing number one in the country. You had them on the ropes well into the third quarter. Just can you talk about the way the teams fought and kept fighting this season, and kind of what your expectations even were going into this game?
Well, expectations were to win the football game. Yeah, that's what our expectations are every game we play. You play the game to win. You don't play to come in second. You play the game to win, and that's what we prepared for during the week. We prepared to come here to win a football game. And there is no other outcome that's acceptable. And that's the way we approach the football game. And did we play hard? Yes, we did. We played really hard. Were our guys extremely dialed in? Yes. Did we have a good plan of attack? Yes. Did we have a good overall plan? Yes. Were we able to come out on top at the end? No.
Jackson.
Coach, now that the season's done and you've coached 8 games, do you feel that you've done enough to be the head coach of this program moving forward?
Yeah, I will talk nothing about that right now. This is 100% about the kids in that locker room, how they've persevered this season, how they've played. I respect your question, but this is solely about the kids in that locker room and the coaches that worked so hard this season.
Kelly?
Obviously, you guys were thin at DB with KJ out on his Jones most of the season. Just talk about that group. It seemed like they made big plays. Like Lee was real big for you today.
Yeah.
Just talk about kind of his role there for the secondary group that made a lot of big plays.
Yeah, with KJ out today, with as much 12 personnel as they ran on offense, we were able to play more 4-3 defense, and Cornelius got a lot of snaps in there, so that took a little bit of the stress off of those guys in the back end of having to play that many snaps with KJ being out. And then Rodney, we've been preparing Rodney for the last couple of weeks at that spot, and Rodney went in there and early on, like any freshman getting his first burn, he was the head's kind of spinning all over the place, but I mean he settled down pretty quickly, and he's going to be a good football player. He was able to get a lot of reps at the nickel spot out there when they went to 11 personnel subgroupings, and just overall, I mean, I think the secondary, from the preparation during the week, from their anticipation of what's going to come from formation tendencies or motion tendencies, being able to anticipate what the offense is going to do, and then their communication on the back end of being able to communicate with each other and get everyone on the same page. They've done a really nice job.
Okay.
You mentioned there were a few mistakes like the drop pass and the fumble snap, like in the punt. Like how much of that affected just reducing kind of the chance you guys had?
Yeah, well, it reduced the field position. Right. That was the critical part of it. When you're looking that play call on the second down, you were able to expose something in the coverage, and then also now you're at 3rd and long, 3rd and 10, and then it culminates with the next 2 plays later with the snap, and they're able to take advantage of it. Defense was put in bad situations a couple of times today, and really, I mean, talk about backs up against the wall, and really, came through and were able to hold them to a field goal in a couple of those instances. And just a credit to those guys of, regardless of where they were on the field, just going out and playing the next play, and that's what you ask you guys to do, is to play the next play, and they did, and then we ended up fumbling. I believe it was the next drive after that. So you're looking at 2 consecutive series there where the ball, field position wise, never really crossed the 30. So we're playing one hand tied behind our back with that.
Kelly.
Can you talk about the opening script you guys had on offense? That was probably one of the better opening scripts, and then the Chip's done the last couple of weeks with the quarterback situation. It's been very third.
Yeah, I mean, you play the hand you're dealt, and there's no reason to sit around and complain about it or worry about it. I think I said it last week. The more time you spend complaining about it, the less time you're spending on finding a solution. And I thought collectively the staff has rallied together, really for the last 9-10 weeks, and worked every week to put the best plan together. And I thought we put a really fine plan together. We were able to take advantage of some things formationally and personnel-wise within that, but also it played to the strengths of those quarterbacks, and that's what you look to do. You got to play to the strengths of your players and put your players in a position to make plays regardless of who's out there.
Jeff.
I understand this is about the kids and you want to keep the focus here, but it's also been a little bit about you. So is there any way you can just address what this experience has been like for you and how important it has been for you?
Yeah, I mean, get a chance to be the head coach of my alma mater for the last 8 games. I mean, it's very special. It's very special to coach a group of kids like that. I mean, to do what those kids have done and to play as hard as they played, and even to clocking 0 out there today. And such a credit to the kids and the leadership in that locker room, and the leadership throughout the week that they give to each other. We talked about ownership early on in this, and players having ownership, but with that comes the responsibility and accountability with it. And they bought into that full 100%. They bought into every part of it. And when you can have ownership in your own team as a player, it really is a empowering thing. So yeah, it's been a real joy. It's been an outstanding time to coach these kids.
Is it fair to say as a follow-up that there's a good feeling now potentially moving forward regardless of what happens? I understand you're coming off an loss.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I've never had a good feeling after a loss. I mean, it was 22 years ago, I walked off that field and won a loss, and that's next time we come here. It's like every game you come to win, you play to win, and that's the 100% goal that we have as a football team.
We'll wrap up with one with Ken.
After the game, you and Kirby shared a few words look like, and how can you share a little bit what it was like?
No. Known him a long time, played against each other on that field, recruited against each other, worked against each other, coached against each other for a long time, so we go way back.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, guys. Go Jackets.